Fortuna Fortis Adiuvant, episode 6 with the man, the myth, the legend, Sean Kelly, owner of the best strength training community north of equator, Fortis Fitness. He will make you cry of laughter. I promise. We will touch on why Irish drink so much, stolen baby, double murder, and burned baby stores are all Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champs. So modest. World-class diet by store Clerk. First, inspiration to train and how to build a community. Make sure to stay till the end to laugh your ass off. I'm Matt Mack and I welcome you to Bloody Mavericks, where sanity takes a back seat. Today on the show, we've got every guest for me is a special guest, but today, without a doubt, the person who's sitting in front of me is. He will not say that he's special in any way. He will be so modest that he gonna definitely say that he's not responsible for all the success, all the achievements, or anything like that. He will put it into someone's hands, the big goals, the big achievements. The myth, the legend, Sean Kelly. Pleasure having you on the show.
Well, I'm humbled and honored, Matt. I will say that the guest that you had scheduled for today, a captain in the fitness industry, wildly successful, fabulously wealthy, talented, beyond your imagination, roughly 6 foot tall. That guy couldn't show up, so they sent me instead. So I apologize, but you're stuck with me, Matt. That guy could not show up.
My pleasure, my
wish
pleasure.
I was like that guy.
Oh yes. That's exactly how Sean is. Very modest, and he gonna twist it and put it in someone else's hands as an achievement.
You're too kind.
Sean is an owner and operator of the best gym in the city, which is Fortis Fitness, which me and wife Kat we love. People who we met there are outstanding and crazy as fuck. Everyone, giving an example of today, friend met on the gym and involving everyone else, pulled me on the side today. Come on, let's drag some sandbags today. So that's an example of the community that Sean managed to build. He's also really talented on his own behalf in sports. He's got multiple achievements on his record, which I hope we can talk about a little bit. Sean, what will you say?
Go on, Matthew. Go on. Tell us more of this man you speak of. This great man, Matthew, you speak of and pontificate. Go on. Go on. Don't let me stop you.
Amazing.
I mean my yo-yo championship. The one I won back in 82. Yeah.
Come on, yo-yo.
Okay.
Yeah, yo-yo. How about the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Well, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is very, very tough. It's an ongoing battle. Every class is and can be a battle at my age. I'm going to be 58 in September. So you were asking about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu earlier, yep. and I told you it's sort of like starting heroin. Be very careful because it is addictive in a dark way and in a very light way too. But I've had some success with that sport, thank God. But only with my age bracket and weight.
You are saying only, but that's where you compete anyway, right?
It is, yeah. But in jiu-jitsu, it really turns you on if the guy's a lot heavier and you get out from underneath, or if you manage to get a sub or what have you. But usually you're getting your ass handed to you on a regular basis. So it's a very humbling sport, man.
I heard a lot about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm really curious to try. But on your experience, I have bad shoulder that I'm constantly working on. I have my chiro visits. I have exercise that I just do for that shoulder to strengthen it. Even though I still exercise, obviously, but I got an injury when I wanted to be too cool to my abilities. I started with calisthenics and went into muscle ups too fast, which basically
You mean you tried hard?
I tried hard.
Okay, don't so never, get on yourself for trying hard, man. And that's a good kind of greed. That's exceptional. That just means a strong brain, and you're not lazy, and you're trying to exceed. I would get my shoulders working comfortably, and then approach jiu-jitsu very cautiously.
Yeah.
With a good club. And then there's a way to do it, right? I'm 58. I've had stem cells. I had a complete tear from jiu-jitsu in my subscapularis. I couldn't even raise my hand to wash my hair. And I thank God for my great stem cell doctor, sports physician. And then I had another shot in my knee. There's all kinds of ways to keep you going. But the best thing to do is of course, caution, right? Don't get the injury in the first place. So, you're a young, fit guy. You're kind of a scary guy. And so in jiu-jitsu, understand that going in, but there's precautions, man. And there's ways to train to keep your shoulders healthy as well. So I would definitely give it a shot, right? But wait till your shoulders are comfortable and healthy. That would be my humble suggestion.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to try it.
I definitely will. And more people. The funny thing is, if we are talking about Mavericks here, right? This is the show about Mavericks, people who do things in their own way. You are one of them. But the more I talk to a lot of business owners, even like a lot of people who are high achievers, they have either experienced, either been, or are still active in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I know people who are black belts still going, and it's a passion.
It's a compelling sport. It really is. It's a bit of a chess match, jigsaw puzzle. It's fascinating. It keeps your brain working. But I mean, it is, like I mentioned, the heroin, man. You get in there and some lady or some guy who's like 50 pounds lighter than you is going to choke you out, or does choke you out, or he's going to break your arm or your knee or some other joint. And you're like, how the hell did he just do that? I did everything in my power to stop that guy. Or how did he get out from, I was on top of the guy. How did the guy get on, suddenly he's on my back? So I was like, I better come back for another one of these damn lessons. And it goes. And then 5 or 7 years later, you're still doing it. And you're still having your ass handed to you by really good people, but you're starting to get the hang of it. It's like playing the piano on steroids, I guess. Because it's evolving all the time. Too. Yeah. It's a dynamic sport right now. It's changing.
And it's definitely humbling from what I'm hearing.
Pardon me?
It's definitely humbling experience.
Oh, it's a very humbling experience, very humbling sport, which is part of the great reason to do it. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So, on that note, if you can tell me, starting with, we can start either with Mavericks or we can start with your backgrounds. I think we can go according to the main direction of the show, where we're gonna start with what we have here, which is I brought today because of your background.
Yeah.
You've got Irish, French.
Yeah.
You're Canadian.
Yeah.
But you've got some native roots somewhere there as well.
Maybe. Big maybe. I'm trying to sort that out right now.
Okay.
I'm fascinated with that, and I'll tell you the story of that on that one a little later. But there's good and bad with my heritage. Unfortunately, I think I'm more white bread Canadian than anything. I'm half French and half Irish. I would say my Irish heritage has affected me a little more, or for whatever reason that side of me I've been exposed to. I suspect. So I don't, I would have to work a little to figure out the French side.
Okay.
I believe, yeah.
Do you know how it is showing up in your lineage? Is it like mother's side is French or father's side is French?
French, half French, Irish on both.
Okay.
How does it show up? I drink regularly. I talk a lot. Freaking talk to Blarney. So yeah. I'll tell you a funny story. I lived in Miami for 9 or 10 years, and I remember being out with a bunch of friends on Lincoln Road, one of many typical nights on a weekend, and there was 4 or 5 of us. We were sitting at a restaurant, and the service is legendarily horrible in Miami, especially on the main tourist areas, and This is how I know I'm Irish. The waiter brought everybody. I said, hey, do you have some wine? He said, yeah, we got a bottle, whatever you like. So we ordered a little bit of wine, and my glass arrived, and I took a sip, and I'm like, I took another sip, and I'm like, I was the only one who actually ordered the wine. I don't think anybody else did. And the waiter came back. I called back, and I said, hey, just to let you know, this wine is a little off. Now, by that time, I had drank half the glass, right? Yeah. So the waiter looked at me, and he looked at my glass. He goes, oh, it's off, is it? Well, it didn't really stop me from drinking the wine, did it? And so I chuckled. I know. I just chuckled. I laughed. And I said, are you sure? I said, come here for a sec. I said, come a little closer. Right? So he came a little closer. I said, listen to me. I said, I'm Irish. I'll drink piss if there's enough alcohol in it. The fucking wine's bad. Okay? I'm trying to tell you. I'll drink the whole damn bottle if you want me to. But it's bad wine. It's vinegar, or halfway to vinegar. So, finally that got the message across, and I think they stopped serving wine. They could have brought me the bottle, and I would drink. But again, it's just awareness of your heritage. Yeah, it's something you have to be careful of too, right? Alcoholism is nothing to be taken lightly, and it's just, I find, the athleticism, owning a gym, and forcing yourself to work out whether you want to or not, or being involved in sports, different sports. You can't do that with a bad hangover. So. It's definitely mitigated that side, but a lot of my family and definitely myself, there's an appreciation of liquor for sure. It's part of the reason I'm like, I'm not saying that's definitely part of the French side, I'm sure. Yeah. But Epicureanism now, I'll eat rotten bologna, right? You're bringing out all these fine pastries, man. I'm like, that's definitely right. On the Irish side for the food, probably.
Yeah, that's also one of the things where food on the Irish side, damn, it's hard to get Irish food or find Irish food.
What is Irish food, man?
Exactly. Yeah.
We're still traumatized by the damn potato famine, man. So it's like oh, this is edible. Yep. It's a dandelion. I'll eat it, right? Where's the booze? That sounds great.
That's the food. The booze is the food.
Oh, man. It's just, I'm not really, Irish food would be, some definitely all things with potato, anything with pork or bacon. It's just sustenance. And a lot of ethnicities, countries with a history, that's right, of poverty and
Poland is the same. It's like
exactly. Yeah.
A lot of potatoes, a lot of drinking.
Right. Pretty much eat just about anything, right? Yep. Scots with haggis and all this different stuff. They're probably more of a heritage for food on that side. So I'm not aware. I'm sure there is some good Irish food. I'm pardon my ignorance, because that's what it is. But growing up, there's a lot of bread, a lot of potatoes, a lot of bacon. We didn't look at other ethnicities. Man, you're having Indian food tonight, or we're having Thai food. Wow.
That's right.
Wow, that's incredible. Or Japanese, or what have you, right?
Yeah, the funny thing is about this city especially, that we've got such a diversity, and there are so many different cultures, different people around, that you can literally pick culture a night and eat or try their cuisine, right?
Incredible.
It is. However, if you think about Irish, the food part is kind of tricky. You can definitely get an Irish beer here. That's for sure. You can go to the pub and get it.
Yeah, you're going to get a meat pie or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what is it. I just don't know what, again, like I've never really been to a proper Irish restaurant. I don't know if there is a bloody Irish restaurant anywhere. But man, like I'm living, I couldn't agree more with you. I'm repeating this. I don't know what the source is, but I've heard it too many times. I will repeat it. Toronto's the most ethnically diverse city in the world. I don't know if that's true. I would believe it. Somebody may challenge me on that. But I'm in Parkdale, and Parkdale has a massive Tibetan population for the size of our city, anywhere else, I think, in North America. And so the Tibetan restaurants that line King Street are amazing. Oh, yeah. Like, just astounding. The lamb and the mutton and cauliflower that tastes like you swear you're eating meat. You can get vegetarian. True. Wonderful Tibetan people in there serving other food. So I agree, man. Indian food in Toronto. Yeah. I've heard people saying you can get Italian, Indian, whatever type of, cultural diversity, whatever type of food, it's better than back home pretty much anywhere. I've heard that over and over again about Toronto. It's going to be better in Toronto, literally, than back in India or where have you. I don't know if that's true, But
That's right.
I think it's a good shot.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of great restaurants. We had an Irish person on the show before, so what I brought the last time was a shepherd's pie.
There you go.
So that definitely, you cannot go wrong with that.
Yeah, that's probably from English colonialism.
Actually, it's not. It was part of. It was invented in Ireland.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
That's through my research at
Yeah,
least.
I
so.
love that stuff, man.
But because Irish is so hard, maybe you can call me going easy route. So I went with the French side, and I'm a sucker for French pastries.
Oh, who isn't? Yeah.
So please dig in, figure out. We've got different types of. We've got a savory one and sweet. We've got the classic croissant. We've got a double baked croissant with the filling, and we've got a tart with
a tart. I told you before, Matt. If I eat this stuff, I'll turn into a fat middle-aged pumpkin.
You want.
I'll have a little bit, man.
Okay, yeah. Let's try out a little bit.
Appreciative of this. It's very kind of you. I love this aspect of your show.
Thank you so much.
Looking at the cultural, it's a great. You're based in Toronto.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful thing to do. Really, really cool.
Try it out and let me know what you think.
I will try a little bit, man. Absolutely.
So on that note, you are saying you're gonna become a fat middle-aged. You don't eat stuff like that at all, or how does it look on your?
Oh no, well I don't eat a lot. I changed my diet when I was about 26.
Okay.
I had a horrible diet. From the context and the understanding of what I know about diet now. So that may sound like theory, and it is, but it's also benefited me immensely in practice. So, you go to our gym, Fortis, and everything we do in our gym is elegantly explained as being in keeping with evolution. Evolution is our compass for everything, right?
Yep.
For diet, for exercise, and for building muscle. The three main components, I would say, of fitness, if you will. So that was the reason I opened the gym, literally, was because of diet.
Really?
Yeah, when I was 26, I was boxing a little back then, and I was always trying to cut weight and, make my weight.
Mm-hmm.
And
so what was, okay, you were making your weight. What was the goal, for you? Did you have, a number, or was it
not to fight heavyweights or light heavyweights. Right?
Okay, yeah.
I wanted to fight middleweights or even lighter if I could. So I had to get down to 165 pounds. I fought a couple at 178.
What are you usually?
About 180 now.
Okay.
Yeah. I've actually built muscle since then, which is odd. But that's, again, part of understanding, right, what happens with age and muscle, et cetera. It's very important to build muscle as you get older. And the industry usually goes the opposite way. They get you doing cardiorespiratory, cardiovascular work, running, and all that other stuff. But at that time, I'd struggled with diet my whole life. I don't, have great genetics for this. Mm-hmm. It's exemplified in other members of my family who, are not just naturally not in great shape. Other people are ectomorphic. They're natural, right? You can give them anything. They're tall and slender and muscular. Not me. And up to that point in my life, that was very demonstrable. So I was given a very simple few suggestions by somebody in a health food store, a very bohemian lady in a health food store, when I was trying to buy diuretics to lose, and fat loss pill, whatever the hell I could, just to help me with my getting ready for an Ontario championship with boxing. And she was so funny. She said, "Come here." She wrote down on a receipt, "Do this, 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 and this." Right? It was 3 or 4 sentences. And I took this receipt and I went, what is this? She just trust me. Right? So she put the diuretics back on the shelf. So I walked out of the place and I did what she said. Right? I went to the grocery store and I bought fruits, non-starchy vegetables, crispy vegetables, right? And I bought some lean meat, any type, fish, whatever. I brought that home. I went into my cupboards and I got rid of all the stuff. I had Pop-Tarts and potato chips and frozen pizzas and all that crap, bread, milk, dairy, everything. So she just said, eat some fruits, some vegetables, a little bit of nuts and seeds, just drink a lot of water, right? So I did this for 3 days. And I think I started on a Friday morning, and by Monday morning, right, I woke up, right? So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I woke up Monday morning, and I didn't know who I was. It was like I had the flu. And I had strictly followed for the entire weekend what she had told me to eat. And there was no limit on the amount I ate. And finally, after I was like, this is crazy. How did I not know this? How do other people not know this? This is crazy. Because it's obviously not a result of just the 3 days.
Yeah.
It was probably water loss, etc. But I had lost one belt buckle, one belt loop, right?
Within 3 days.
Well, yeah, but again, that's probably water and good sleep and a bunch of other stuff. Nonetheless, I was visibly, I felt great. It felt like I had the flu before, and now I didn't. Everything was just better, right? Every physical function, including gastrointestinal, right? It's just like, wow, what the hell happened? I mean, it's crapping like a goose, man. It was just crazy. 3 days. So that sold me. I went to the grocery store and I tripled up. And I didn't start really strict. I went back, a little bit of recidivism. And but every time I went back, it was less and less because it was like, hey, there's no satisfaction here, right? I'm thinking of my old ways. I'm hungry. I bought 3 frozen pizzas. Well, I'd throw them out. I try one. I'm like, this is garbage, right? And I stopped going to a lot of the restaurants and ordering the crap I used to eat. So I quickly discovered that this is essentially the paleo diet, right?
Yeah.
The caveman diet, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? And so I started to study it. That was when I was 26, right? So 30 years ago now, 31. And it went from there. And that's literally why I opened the gym. I opened the gym as a platform essentially for this diet, right, that I had studied. I opened the gym in 2009. But I had obviously studied on, what about exercise, and building muscle. I got into those things as well, and sought out experts, right? People on the planet who are outliers, who are exemplary coaches, etc., who are getting ridiculous results. And I looked for concurrence. And the same thing really with the diet. I looked at experts on paleo dieting and I read all their books and I called them and I interviewed them and I chatted with them for decades.
Amazing.
Decades, yeah. And I wrote it all down. I'm just acting as a journalist. I'm just a dumbass who's fascinated with what happened to me. So I went from about 210, 215 pounds down to like 180, 175 if I wanted. And I've been as low as 165 with ease, right? And it's body fat. You're getting rid of the body fat and you're keeping the muscle. It's crazy. So that's all I've done. And in seeking out this knowledge, I've answered some questions as to why a rather liberal version of that diet worked for me, and why a liberal version is the one that I would suggest to others who are seeking it out.
What do you mean by liberal diet?
Liberal meaning every now and then you're going to have some potatoes, you're going to have some corn, you're going to have some nightshade vegetables, and that it doesn't matter. That's what I mean by liberal. Whereas you read books. One of the first books I read was by Ray Audette, and the idea was just almost just eat roadkill, wild caught things, and
carnivore kind of style.
Yeah, Neanderthal I think was a book. In any case, the other I understand the seriousness, the intensity of people who find it, because I had the same thing. I was fascinated with this. It was just like crazy. How the hell did this work so well? And it's so simple, right? So people who practice this, and smarter people than me, man, I'm talking PhDs, who have now become Lauren Cordain and all these other brilliant people who are world leaders, will tell you why you should not eat nightshade vegetables and why mushrooms are not a great idea, and other things that we would think would be okay, and why to steer clear from all starchy vegetables. My only thing was that I discovered that if and I checked this with them, even though it was like pulling teeth at times, if you follow this 80-90% of the time and eat what you're supposed to eat, it doesn't matter if you have a nice piece of homemade cheesecake. Now it doesn't matter. We're omnivores and we deal with it, and it's probably not going to take a minute off of your lifespan. I say probably because nothing is absolutely certain in science or biology, but This has worked brilliantly for me. Look, if you never try it, if you're never going to follow it, what's the point? True. Right? So if you follow advice that's so strict, you're going to lose all your friends. You're never going to get invited to a dinner party again.
Yeah, true.
Right? And you're going to have to go out of the way to catch your own food and, pick vegetables from wild locations. You're not going to do it. It's not going to be followed. So that's been my fascination. Sorry for the long-windedness, but
it's amazing. Like at the end of the day, you need to make it sustainable, right? So we are at the end of the day, we are living in a huge city, which everywhere you look, there are no farmlands anywhere close.
Yeah.
So, and you cannot do it in your own backyard because backyards here are like 5 by 5 square feet. So how much of the veggies you're gonna grow, right?
It's an art. You have to. Everybody's different. Everybody has their weaknesses. I have my weaknesses, and you have to understand how to apply this beautiful science. Which is the understanding of our evolutionary history with food, right? And how to apply it in the modern day. That's more of the art of it. Of course, it's a science. And, the compass is what we ate 10,000 years prior, or 12,000 years and prior, right? Yep. And it works, right? It actually works. This we understand. So...
And we were way healthier as a species as well, because like the best example is what I'm wearing right now, because like when I read about our jaws being narrowed because of processed foods and everything that
there
we
you
eat,
go. Yeah,
right?
Interesting, right?
Yeah, and nasal pathways being narrowed down, and as a humanity and people in general losing their breath because of that, because it's less and less flow coming through those. Like I was dumbfounded actually that food can have such an effect on us, on the scalp, on the
everything.
Yeah.
Oh, you love Lauren Cordain's work, right? Talking about hair loss and everything, acne and all this stuff. It's fascinating. And so that's what I've looked into and researched, myself as an amateur, going to these experts and outwardly saying, I don't know, please show me. And then comparing their work with other experts and looking for concurrence.
Yeah.
And looking for proof in practice, right? It's inductive versus deductive. We have to search for the answer. We don't have to search for the answer when you begin with evolution. Because if you go, wait a minute, we're an animal. And if you look at, a human from a zoological perspective, just as you would, rationally any other animal.
Yeah.
That's what do you feed a penguin in a zoo? You don't feed it Penguin Crunch. You don't feed it cheesecake or Mars bars or Mountain Dew.
Yep.
You feed it what penguins eat in the wild.
Yep.
So the idea that you shouldn't look at a human in generally the same way, to me, is insane.
It is.
It doesn't make any sense. And the results are forthcoming. If you do take a human like me, a fat, out of shape 26-year-old, and you start feeding me what is primarily understood to be my evolutionary diet, everything changes. I lose 50 pounds of fat, my skin gets a beautiful tone, my eyesight improves, my gastrointestinal system improves, I've got less inflammation everywhere, right? I have more energy, I sleep better. What are you going to do? What am I going to do? Go back to Pizza Hut and Mountain Dew?
Yeah.
That's insane. We begin, again, inductive logic. It's like we know gravity exists. We'll spend all the time proving it, right? So that's why the research on this stuff tends to be, we know it works. Let's figure out why it works. Like how the proteins cluster and change our DNA and what genetic changes have occurred with humans in the last 10,000 years. And like you say, what's occurred, more recently, epigenetic changes and, our tolerance to alcohol, all this stuff. It's all part of it. But that's the simple fascination, just the fact that this thing is so successful, it works so well. Back to your point, it's interesting because, I continue to go to the, the best experts on the planet for diet, exercise, health, always trying to learn more. And, prior to the Industrial Revolution, even though we were not necessarily, we were eating bread and dairy, etc., but the versions of those foods, right, compared to now, were evidently better because, they've done, studies of corpses literally from that long ago. And they've realized that a lot of the diseases we have today were vaporous, even prior to the Industrial Revolution.
Wow.
So the purity, the authenticity of the food we're eating as closer to its natural source. Let's talk about an Oscar Mayer cold cut versus a piece of wild caught venison, night and day. One will kill you, one will make you healthy. So there's that whole aspect to it too. I find it fascinating, and nothing's more important than your health. And I try and advise people to the best of my ability and knowledge on that very topic. So interesting stuff. This is delicious, by the way.
Thank you. Good to hear. Good to hear.
As I wolf down some French pastry, because when you eat, when you're eating freaking buffalo, man, and fresh vegetables all day, a little bit of pastry ain't going to do nothing. It's not going to hurt you, especially if it's organic pastry or whatever the hell you're eating.
That's right. Exactly.
Just doesn't matter.
And at the end of the day, you need to have also kind of a healthy way of seeing it. As you gave a best example, this is your way of life, the way how you eat, how you think about health, and how you go about it. And then if you change it up a little bit once in a while and try something new just because you want to feel the taste of it, it won't ruin what you have accomplished.
Not at all. Humans have a long history of starving to death. We'll eat anything that won't kill us. That's a fact, right? We are omnivores, so it's part of our heritage to eat unusual things and survive. So you've put in front of me a wonderful piece of artisan pastry. That is not going to kill me. It's some calories. Is it what I want to eat all the time? No, I'll go back to being 26, my 26-year-old self, which is not a great thing for me. But every now and then, it's absolutely fine.
That's right.
Yeah. And there's arguments, this will go back and forth on both sides. I consult PhDs. It's like a game of volleyball, right? Some on the Paleolithic side will say, don't ever eat that stuff. And then some other PhDs, more of the randomized controlled tests, right? More research scientific and who are studying people like William Lagakos, exceptional people that I follow, will say that's not going to kill you. There's no proof whatsoever. It's a whole other issue. So we like a balance. We're getting right back to the whole liberal version of an evolutionary diet, which would definitely be my preference.
Amazing. It is the whole dieting, the whole health perspective on life, and trying to figure out the best way to stay fit, healthy, and strong. The best example is our common friend Ninette, who is working her ass off for.
Talk to me about that
one. She's amazing, and she's going through. She kept her promise to herself. I would say, just by making sure that she's on the top of her game.
Doesn't age.
No, she doesn't.
She just doesn't age. One of the most naturally beautiful females I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, just so healthy and vivacious and strong. I'll give you interesting. We're talking about the same topic. There's a coach who I follow, a great trainer, one of the most famous personal trainers, I would say, in the world, definitely in North America, especially in the NHL, Matt Nickel. And Matt said something brilliant. I always catch his lectures when I can at Swiss Society of Weightlifting Injury Specialists, creme de la creme of PhDs in our world. So, we're always there with bells on to gain new knowledge and learn from these wonderful people. And Matt said, look, the best plan in the world, you got a pro athlete, you got a top amateur athlete. Can you get him to train?
Yeah.
Forget about your program.
That's amazing.
Forget about your plans. Can you even get him to train?
That was another question for me, because that's usually the struggle of every one of us. It's not like obese people that struggle with it only. It's like me, you, we always, like every one of us struggle at almost every day going to the gym is the struggle. Once you like Ninette is saying as well, once you're there, this is a different story because you push yourself. But the everyday decision of going out of your comfort zone and getting up, gearing up, and just going there, because it's easier to lie in bed, right?
It is not for you. Not for you or your lovely girl. But you guys are in shape, you're in peak health, and you're young. But if you're talking about a top college lineman who's maybe 6'5" or 6'8", 400 pounds, trying to get that guy to do cardio, okay? Trying to get a fighter to do what he needs to do. That's what Matt was talking about. And therein lies a great part of the art. It's not just the knowledge of, I know exactly what I got to do with this guy, and it makes sense, and it's logical, and it's responsible. But you got to get him to do it.
True.
Right? This is my whole point with the food. I needed to be cajoled, right? I was so lucky because I fell into eating the right things slowly, and I waded in, and I became more and more strict as I went, and I realized the benefits. But to get somebody to experience that microeconomic relationship with benefits outweighing costs, in the end, that's why we do this, right? I use this example all the time. If I buried gold doubloons in your backyard and they were 6 feet under the ground and I gave you a shovel and I said, man, go at it. You know, 2-3 hours later, you'd still be digging. 8 hours later, you may have taken a break, but you'd be back digging. If there were no gold doubloons, you would not. So the benefits of digging, this sounds so silly, but it's absolutely true. It's the simplest relationship in the world. Cost benefit, microeconomics is so important for fitness. If you realize that the work you're doing, the benefits you get from that work outweigh the costs, which is sweating a little and doing some work, then you'll continue it for the rest of your life. In fact, I'll have to stop you because that linear relationship doesn't work forever. That's when we have to sort of manipulate the gains.
That's right.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
It does, definitely. And it first of all, to your point, is it's getting harder with the years and going more and more. Like I remember myself starting. For me, is first of all what you said about way of life. I 100% agree with that, because if it wasn't for a trainer that I met when I was 14, who was a huge inspiration. He was like 75 and he was running a small shop gym, having one room with aerobics for women and 3 machines. Couple dumbbells, that's it. And he was starting exercise with women, like with a stick or whatever, showing the exercise to women, doing it for a couple minutes with them, walking to the other room with us, like there was me and the other guy, like 2 small young guys, and showing us how to exercise with dumbbells, with other stuff. This guy was a beast. 75, it was beast, and he was going at it back and forth between the rooms all day long, 7 days a week.
You may have told me about that. What was his sport?
He was a champion. He was a junior champion in bench pressing when he was younger.
Okay.
And then I think after his career fade off, I think he was a teacher of in a school for a period of time with physical. And then moved to his own business. And
so strength guy. So he was a strength sports guy. Yeah, makes sense.
Why? Why does it make sense that the strength guy would do that?
So guys who are usually passionate about that, I'll hear a lot about guys like this. It's often wrestling, track and field. Some of these guys who inspire you, right? Like when I was a kid, I had a couple guys like that. I was very lucky, and I remember the visits, right? I remember the visits. In my case, I was 15, and I had my little plastic weights in the basement with my Joe Weider, bodybuilding guide, and a friend of the family, Martino Catalano, who was a shot putter, an Olympic shot putter. He was, on the Canadian team for shot put, and he was also the Canadian super heavyweight powerlifting champion.
Whoa!
And he was natural. Yeah, and he benched 500. This was back in 1980. So he came into the basement. He saw my weights, and I'll never forget. Marty said, "You want me to show you how to do this?" I said, "Of course. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm getting big arms, and I want to look like those bodybuilders."
How old were you by
15.
then? 15. Okay.
So Marty came down, and he taught me a couple lessons, literally in 10-15 minutes. He said, "Put some weight on the bar." I did. He said, "I want you to we just covered bench press. That's all we covered." He said, "I want you to stick your chest out as much as you possibly can." I'm like, "No, I'm supposed to keep my back on the thing." No, stick your chest out so you're like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Your arms go small, right? Arch your back, and I want you to take the biggest breath you can ever take. No, I'm supposed to breathe. I'm supposed to go. He said, "No, trust me." Right? So I did what Marty said. He said, "I want you to lower that weight, touch your chest, and then explode it, right? Like it's a rocket, just like a rocket. And I'm like, okay, but Marty, I'm supposed to get a pump and I'm supposed to do 10 sets. Or sorry, 10 repetitions and then another set and get a big pump and then I got to do my arms. And he goes, no. Just concentrate on the bench press. This is how I want you. I want you to do sets of 3. All right. And then he talked a little bit about programming, overlapping, periodization. I'm 15. The guy's talking to me about it. And he was such a good guy. He explained periodization, some of the essentials of periodization that I can understand them simply. Like, right, so you're going to go in blocks. You're going to go for 3 months. You're going to get strong. And you're going to stop for a few weeks, right? I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, your body will need a rest. And then you're going to start again, but not where you left off. You're going to start, right, where you left off a month before you quit. Yeah. So with an easy one. I was like, oh, so overlapping. Okay. Just these simple ideas, right? Sets of 3. Sets of 5, sets of 2, right? And he told me how many sets to do, just like 3, maybe 5. I'm like, wow, this doesn't make it. It's not the bodybuilding thing. So that's my first introduction to strength, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that's and amazing. I never forgot those lessons, man. Right, the concentric active portion of your lift. You do it as fast as you possibly can. And man, this just again back to concurrence. I'll never forget visiting Westside and interviewing Louis Simmons a few times. I was down there a bunch of times, just learning as much as I could from Louis. I remember Louis, I said, "Do you guys do anything slow?" Right? He looked at Tony Bologna, who was a bench presser down there, and he said, we don't do anything slow here. It may move slow, right? They've got 600 or 700 pounds on the damn bar, or 1,000 pounds that they're squatting, but nothing is slow. Everything is explosive, right? So there it is again, back to concurrence. But I was really lucky to learn these lessons when I was a kid. And I didn't apply them right away, but I definitely started to when I was a few years later, and then later in life when I got into powerlifting. Yeah, exceptional lessons. Things that just aren't understood. Getting more so now with the advent of CrossFit and the explosion in the strength sports and powerlifting. It's great stuff to see. But still, these things are esoteric, right? They're I still say for the vast majority of the public going to a typical commercial gym. Oh yes, they're just misunderstood or not understood at all.
For sure. The best example is what you did with our gym, where in comparison, if you go to, let's say, LA Fitness, their model is to remove the weights from the gym because obviously the more weights they have, the heavier the people are going to lift, the more equipment going to break. With your gym is completely different. There's more weights, there's more stuff for people who are able to do it. And you focus on having people who know how to operate, how to do it, how to make it technically. So at the end of the day, if you've got people who have knowledge and they know what they are doing, the equipment will not break.
Oh, so it's more so with a typical modern gym. If this all started in the early 70s, I would say I would lend a lot of it to Nautilus. Isolating equipment where you've got a circuit. So I can do 12 machines and I've done my whole body and now I go home. So think about that. If I put that equipment into a gym, I can get more members. The members come in quicker. They go out quicker, right? It's easy. It's accessible. You just sit in a little piece of wood. There's no training required. If I'm training somebody how to do a power clean, man, that's going to take a little while. Or a proper high or low bar squat. I got to watch them. I got to show them. They got to pay me. Right? And our gym is free. But with those bloody circuits, that's, and that's it's good for the gym. Yeah, it's good for the money-making aspect of the gym. It's good for the gym business. Yeah. It's not optimal for the clients at all. And it goes against all the science.
That's all you are about the community. Every time we spoke, it's all about people getting better at what they are doing and why they are coming there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the joy of our gym, thank God. It's all about lifting the curtain on what are the strongest, fastest people on the planet doing. The best athletes in the world, and their pretty muscles. We're all interested in pretty muscles. Okay, there was a survey done, I can't remember, it was a meta-analytical thing I quoted all the time. 80% of people who go to the gym want to lose fat, right, and get good-looking muscles. Well, the other 20% are lying. I guarantee it.
Yeah, of course.
So that's part of it. That's absolutely part of it. But lifting the veil on what these crazy pro athletes are doing is really what the gym's about. And now, interestingly, paradoxically, how can I apply that to a beginner? I can. It has to be done responsibly, but it's easy to apply. And that's what we love. We have guys like you, and we got powerlifters and athletes and NHL, even NFL players at our gym. But the real joy is having somebody come in who doesn't know what a dumbbell is. They don't know what a barbell is. And they're coming into a room that's intimidating, but seeing people like that, men and women of any age, thrive is our true joy. The athletes are fine. I don't have to watch you or worry about you or these other. I'm not going to tell an NHL player what to do. If he asks me a question on a piece of equipment or a lift, of course. But the real satisfaction is somebody come in and lose 50 pounds and get really fit and healthy, right? More important than anything. That's the joy. And it's, man, I never did this stuff at my typical gym. Nobody ever taught me this stuff. That's what we're trying to do, right? That's been the biggest gift that the gym has given me.
It is amazing to see from my perspective, because I remember in Poland, we always, the gym, especially because my family is from a smaller town, and I remember the gyms that I have been visiting or working out of, it is a community there anyway. So people, like, you walking into the gym and you basically, whoever you're passing, you're gonna shake the hand with them, say hello, how are you doing? Whereas if you go anywhere in the world, usually I haven't noticed that, besides Fortis.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. And we're always happy to hear that. That means we're doing something right. You got to remember, we talk about microeconomics, right? So if I'm going somewhere to do some physical work, right, I need the benefits to outweigh the costs.
That's
so
right.
I'm already going to a room to do work. All right, we got that down. So let's say I'm a female and I'm 30 years old and I'm going to a room to do work. It's not just the work that I have to navigate. It's the guys who are bothering me. It's the fact that I'm intimidated. It's unfriendly people, possibly misogynist people.
Stirs.
All that stuff. So if you get rid of that stuff, now there's only one battle, and it's the work. And if the benefits from the work outweigh the, right?
That's right.
The costs, then now we have something. Now we have, and you're doing a minimal amount of work for the maximal results. The min-max principle, again, back to economics, is vital. With a proven plan, right? Whatever it is, the exercises I'm doing, the program I'm doing, and they're going to get me where I want to go for my goals, right? Now we have something. But if you ignore those other things, man, if I got to go to a room full of egomaniacs who are doing crazy things, and guys who are bigger than me, right? Who maybe they want to intimidate me. Maybe they're like, hey, I'm using that right now. All that nonsense. Think of a kid going in, a 17-year-old kid. There's some big idiot, right, pushing him around, saying, yeah, I'm using all that equipment. So all that antisocial crap, man, now you got a couple of battles. Not just the battle to do work. You've got the stigmatization. People intimidating you. It can work for some people in the opposite way, right? Like it can be, okay, I'm going to get big and I'm going to push that guy around or whatever. That's true. But I've always found that the least number of battles you have, the more you can put into that one battle, man. So if it's getting physically better and getting where you want to go, let's do it in a community, like you say. Let's make a welcoming atmosphere, right? Where there's nobody pushing. It's full of gentlemen. It's full of considerate, kind individuals, right?
It is.
It's not like full of bullies or people who are going to push you around. All that nonsense, man. A guy who's 6'4" and 280 pounds, and he's got a bad attitude. He's pushing people. I'll tell you right now, man. I got to get a guy who's 6'8", 350. Watch what happens. You see, it's always it always comes around. Just be a nice person, right? So you're in a room full of dickheads, you're going to have a problem. Whether you're male, female, you're intimidated. And if it's the opposite, and you're going to learn, and you walk in, you got new friends. Now we've really got something, man. Now we got plus. That's been our opinion, man, or our understanding.
It is amazing to see how this story unfolds, even for me myself. I remember just starting, and it was pretty empty, and then slowly started to grow back after we were stuck for a while here during the pandemic, and then everything opened and people slowly started to come, more people to see and open each other open themselves to each other again, because that was the issue, a big issue as well. People got alienated and they didn't feel comfortable to speak with other people.
That's true. Yeah, it's been a challenge, man.
It's been a challenge, 100%. So let's roll back a little bit to the heritage part.
Sure.
Tell me what's there. What are you going after? What you want to still discover? Any part of the? We spoke a little bit about the Irish. How much you know about the French, and how which way you want to go towards the native, or how you want to try to approach that?
One of the things I love about Canada is people come here, and it's strange because they say, hey, put your heritage first. Be Polish Canadian. It's the opposite of the States, right? With the melting pot. Yeah. In a funny way, that has the opposite effect.
Yes.
It's the strangest thing.
I agree.
You're driving through Brampton, and I see, white Anglo kids playing hacky sack with a Sikh kid there's a, Filipino girl going out with another guy who's brown, and everybody, it's strange. It seems to be a second generation thing, right? And for me, growing up in Canada, the ethnicity stuff has become less important. Honestly, there's aspects to every ethnicity, I would say, and I don't think it's a bad thing to say that. I often joke, Irish people tend to have wit. They tend to drink on a pretty regular basis. They tend to be a little long-winded. I know I can be. Definitely a sense of humor. That doesn't mean we're all that way.
Of course not.
But the generality, I think, is you're forgiven for mentioning it. I hope nobody's offended if I'm Irish and I say, we have a pretty decent consumption of alcohol.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we like to drink a little. We like to we like to tell stories. We have some wit. There's a lot of humor. Some decent writing. Does that make sense? Yeah. That said, I think being Canadian, I don't dwell as much on. I enjoy that aspect of different cultures. My Jamaican friends have idiosyncrasies that I love, right? Yeah. The food, whatever, the music, all that stuff. But I've come to appreciate just the egalitarianism of it all, being in Canada. Like I'm no better than you, man. You're no better than me. I come from a country that's been overrun by everybody. We've had our asses kicked all over the globe. What has been interesting is there's always been a rumor in my family of native ancestry.
Okay.
On my French side, on one of my one grandmother in particular, and I recently had a genealogist look that up, and that's been really cool because I've never been really interested in I haven't cared for the aforementioned reasons. I'm like, hey, man, I'm Canadian. Everybody's welcome. A little bit Irish, French, whatever. Yep. But it has been fascinating. I really wanted to know, is there any native truth to that rumor, and is there any native ancestry? So this was fascinating. I paid a little money. A great genealogist discovered that, wow, one of my earliest ancestors founded Montreal.
Wow.
Literally. He gave me the name. Did you know this guy started Montreal? I had no idea. But the rumor part on the native end of things was on that same side, on the French side, my mother's mother, it was a Coeur de Bois, famous, who worked with the natives, the Algonquins and the Iroquois. I don't know about the Iroquois. I think one of the tribes was more of an enemy, and the rumor has been that this guy, Jean Cadieux, was married to an Algonquin or an Iroquois princess.
Okay.
So the problem is, now I have substantiation and certainty that I am a direct relative descendant of this guy. Right, that's what but they can't prove that his wife was native. So I'm on that now. So I don't know where to go from here. There's a whole bunch of us out there. There's a whole bunch of these ancestors. I've seen it all over the internet, like Cadieux's lament and this crazy story of him being hunted by the not so friendly natives and allowing his friends who were native to escape. And he wrote, he carved into a piece of bark his final words and lament. But he was supposedly married to a native lady, fully native, and that's what I'm trying to figure out at this point. But I guess I would make me a quarter native. But I can't hold that. I can't hold on to that. There's no proof, right? So I'm going to investigate a little further. Might have to do.
So you're digging.
Yeah, I might have to do some DNA testing. I would like to know that. Yeah, I'd be fascinated by that.
Amazing. So you said, are you a second generation Canadian, or which generation are you? Third.
Yeah, third at least. Yeah. And on that side, on that particular quarter, it was late 1600s, like some of the earliest settlers.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you had to be early to
for sure
to found Montreal, right?
Oh yes,
that's
definitely.
Going way back.
That's true. And on the note of heritage and embracing it, what do you think there were like 1, 2, 3 things that from the cultural background, you mentioned a couple things already, but you think help you being successful in life?
From the ancestry part, I can't say, honestly, and I'm sorry. I don't have a direct, I can never say my Frenchness or my Celtic background. I don't know. You are what you are, for sure, but I've just seen so many great things and so many different great people.
That's true.
And I mean, I think what you get, there's obviously some epigenetics, there's some real history there.
Yep.
There's a reason I look different than a Japanese person or somebody from Namibia. So those are real things. True. But the cultural part, right? How with the laws, all that stuff that shaped the people.
That's right.
A Greek person is going to be different from somebody raised in in Scotland, etc. I wish I could lend something to that, but I can't because I'm so white bread Canadian. I don't know if I'm much help there at all. Yeah.
Everyone's story is different. Everyone experience, background, family history, and stories within the families are different. So how that journey was created for you is your unique way, right?
Yeah, and I'm almost proud. I got to say, Matt, that I might jump on my Irishness a little bit. And odd time I say, oh, I'm French. I'm supposed to like this. Sure, right? Like I love yellow chartreuse. I love man, I would go to that monastery and figure out how those monks are making that stuff. That's a specific liqueur. So maybe that's some of it. But I'm almost proud of the lack of tribalism. Because I think, man, there's so many people I have so many friends from Serbia and different places in the world, and right under the surface, man, even though they're in Canada now, they kind of forget it. Like, look at our people, right? North and South Ireland. How many people have to die? Oh my God, I get it. But I think the more history we put, or time we put between that, just, raise people who aren't going to kill each other over silly things, embrace the positive.
For sure.
Whatever. I love Indian food, so God bless the Indian. But I find that is a direction I want to go more than less. Aside from trying to figure out if I have any native ancestry.
I get you.
Hey, man, if it's native and Irish, then that means there's two heritages that have just been absolutely had their asses kicked all over. I'm almost more proud of that. I mean, ethnically, that's a real underdog, right? That would be good.
That's true.
French, not so much. A little colonialism there, no doubt.
Oh yeah. So on that note, since we are already talking about forging your own path and going your own direction, what does it mean to be a maverick to you?
Well, I think the idea of being a maverick, it's part of it is your own personal motivation. Part of it is going to be how you were brought up. Now, I can say my immediate family would be partially, this is where I could get in, not the ethnicity part that I can think of, but, was your father, were your parents entrepreneurs, or were they union people?
Yeah.
Did they pursue a higher education? Were they curious? Were they outwardly gregarious and interested in other things? I did have some of that for sure. So I was kind of built in that idea of taking a risk. What have I got to lose? Yeah. Right. So nature versus nurture. I would say the The nurture part is very important, man, because I know a lot of people will never take a risk. You know, their father or fathers were union people, union men. They just, you know, their parents always had jobs. Maybe they didn't go to secondary, like maybe they didn't go to university or college. They all do the same thing, and I think that's wonderful.
Yep.
They're just not right. They've never been. They've never been schooled on risk taking, and they haven't been brought up from a young age. The dinner conversation at the dinner table when they were growing up was more about things that shaped them into what they are, which is just more conservative.
That's right.
Right. So that aspect is there for sure, because that's sort of what my family was like. But the other part of it, you're going to find that sometimes you don't have a choice. Right? You don't have a choice. The pressure you have makes you go out and do something a little crazy that takes a risk.
Was it part of your story that?
Absolutely, yeah. Some of it's pride, some of it's not wanting to lose or refusing to want to lose. I'm going to keep going, right? No matter what. Most of my career, business career, has been loss, right? Has been failure. I hate to say that word. We don't even use that word in the gym. We don't use the word fail. It's like a 4-letter word, and it is. It's the worst 4-letter word. We use miss, right? Whatever, but not that one. But unfortunately, looking back, most of my history has been failure, right? And a lot of people I know who are exceedingly, not me, but people who are way more successful than me, have been greater failures than I was, right?
Is it bad though? Because from my perspective, failure allows you to build on top of that and basically trample in yourself or jump higher, faster, go with a bigger speed, because you can learn based on your mistakes or your failures, as you said, instead of being super successful and then but at the end of the day, can I learn about my success? No, I don't really know why I was successful, but I always gonna know why it was a failure. Not to repeat the same mistake again, right?
Totally, yeah. Look, two sides of the same coin. But the most successful people I know, with very few exceptions, have failed miserably over and over again.
That's right.
And you'll find this is a trend. This is a real thing. It's a phenomenon. From Colonel Sanders, right up to the guy who started Honda, miserable failures.
Oh, yeah.
Almost like God opening up the sky saying you were going to fail, yet they keep getting up, dust off, and they win. In the end, they win. It's fascinating. I've learned a lot of this after the fact. Some of it is pride. Right? I'm just going to get up, I'm going to dust off, and I'm going to try again. Desperation is probably the word I was looking for. When you have to make something work.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to eat. Time is ticking. You're in your late 20s or your 30s or your late 30s, and you haven't made a success of yourself. You've had maybe some moderate success, but things are mostly not going well. And maybe you invested some time and effort into something, and it just didn't work.
Yep.
Right? And so you can't necessarily go out and get a job. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Maybe you have to. But sometimes what you have to do is make something work. You spin it or you try again.
For sure.
Get up.
For sure. I think best analogy to it is gym or a sport of any kind is the best analogy of trying and failing. Every rep you do to maximum of your capacity and failing and trying again and again, and then passing that threshold where you couldn't do that a week or 2 weeks, a month before, and then going forward, that's like, this is where it starts. That's the mental thing, right?
It can, like super compensation we're gifted with, right? Yeah. So Hans Selye's adaptation syndrome, which is what we're doing, whether people realize it or not, when they go to the gym, they're creating a stimulation which causes an adaptation. So the understanding of the best science on how to do that and manipulate, right? And exploit greater and greater adaptations, even as we get more and more experienced, is a gift. It's a wonderful thing.
It is.
I would say that the business experience is a little more chaotic, a little more confusing, a little more terrorizing, because it makes no sense at times. And it certainly made no sense at times for me, right? What you do know is every time you fail, you have that experience and you don't want to go through that door again. So if there's 11 doors and you've been through the 10 that don't lead anywhere, right? The 11th's going to go somewhere. You're not going to go back to the other 10.
That's right.
Or I can't help you at all. Yeah. So I think that's the reason that people tend to make money and they tend to have success later in life, right? Not necessarily early. I had some success when I was in my early 20s, but I learned all my lessons after that. Some before, right?
That's right.
And those lessons, that's the wisdom that allows you to now gain some success.
Build on top of that.
I've had some wild failures. Wildly horrible failures.
You want to share some?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I own baby stores in Miami.
Baby stores. What does
diapers, clothes, discount, right? So it started in Canada. It was very successful. So something's very successful in Canada. Like, well, let's take it to a real market. Let's take it down to the States. And maybe we can franchise this. And you have some wild dreams. So the ones in Canada were doing well. Ended up going to the United States. And we chose Miami. It was a bunch of cities. But I don't want to get too detailed on this story. But I went down there with high hopes, opened a bunch of stores. The only thing worse than a failure that grinds out and takes a while, or that happens quickly and boldly, like getting hit on the head with a sledgehammer, is a slow one. Okay. It's like torture, right? And this was a slow failure. So I would put all my effort in, have a little bit of success, see some light, get some more people interested, say this is going to be big, and then it would just slowly dissipate. And then I'd try again. And I did this over 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Right? So it just took a life. So
Sounds like a struggle.
Yeah, I started down there when I was 33, and I started to get out of there when I was 40, 41. So those were pretty much my prime years. Ended in horrible failure. Nothing good. We blew about $1 million, more investment money, everything, and I never worked so hard in my life, 7 days a week. I didn't have a social life because I was absolutely compelled to win, not to let it fail. Not just for me, but for the people who invested. And
of course.
It was my idea, and the people that, were like, wow, this is... I'm going to prove to you that this is going to work. We've already had success in Canada, too. So I'd fall to my knees and ask God, why? Why am I being sent these men? Oh, my God, we've got success over here. I got a little bit of success here. So I just plow through more time and effort, and we're going to fail, right? Miserable. So I did everything I possibly could to make that work, and it was not going to work. And I had to face the fact that, I was 40, and all my friends were, stockbrokers and money guys and in San Francisco or New York, and they were all buying their third Porsches, and they were all super wealthy, and I was just this pathetic guy trying to make it work, right? This is not going to work, so, I was basically going to be broke.
Look at you now.
I'm even worse off. No, I'm kidding. Things have gone really well, man, thank God. But that 10 years, I mean, man, that it took a lot, right, to pick myself up and no, I barely avoid bankruptcy, get back, crawl back to Canada, rebuild from nothing. And that's what I had to do, right? Essentially. But realizing I'm so tired, like it's hard, man. When you're tired and you've had nothing but failure for 7 or 8 years, and you have to get up, dust off, and try again, right? That's a killer. And some things happened when that business was failing that were literally comical. I saw these baby stores selling bulk diapers, discount, in the worst parts of Miami, in the ghettos of Miami. I had 4 of them. At one point I had 5, but 1 burned down. Wow. Right? A dumpster fire, and it burned the whole store down. And then there was a double murder next door, and the guy who committed the double murder in the Fort Lauderdale store, it burned down. So 2 stores burned down, but I kept going, right? And it was just horrible. Like it was never like you'd wake up one day, there's just no sales. Instead, the sales were just slow enough to keep you moving and trying to make it work, which took years away from you and all your energy, all your work and time and energy. I wasn't going to the beach having fun in Miami, man. I was just trying to make my business work for my life, and it was so difficult. But I remember, the stores were in rough areas, and in our main store, we had a little office. I remember a lady pulled up in a pickup truck, and she had her baby in a car seat, and she ran in to get some bulk diapers. And one of the homeless guys who hung around the shopping mall, a pretty rough mall, he jumped in her truck and drove away. So
holy.
Yeah, so about 15 minutes later, every news channel in the entire city was there. CNN, all the local affiliates, all the local channels. So I'm running around, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? There's news cameras and vans and everything, and reporters, and like one guy's interviewing somebody. He's like, here we are at Baby City, where the baby was stolen, and I'm like, oh, for God's sake, that's the end of it, right?
Yeah. Bad PR.
Oh, incredible. Like, again, like comical failure, right?
Yeah.
And I remember it was either before or after that, we were on the Maury Povich show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Maury Povich, big
Roughly,
show in the United States.
Yeah.
His big thing was talking to teens and, about early pregnancies and relationships and all this stuff. And that was, remember all those shows a few years back were big. Very sensational. Anyways, I got back. I didn't even realize we'd been on the show. We'd been mentioned on the show because one of my staff in Canada, because we still have stores up here, said that, wow, we saw you on the Maury Povich show, or we heard the story. Because he had a kid on, a young girl from Miami who was only 14 or 15, and she was working on her second or third kid. Terrible situation, right? No business having babies at that young age.
Yeah, of course.
And Maury scolded her on the show and said, young lady, you can't afford these kids. You can't possibly do, giving her all these lectures and everything else, for the moral America. And the girl put her hand up in front of Maury, just stop talking. She's got it covered. And he said, excuse me? What do you mean? You can't afford these kids? She goes, I can't. I can afford them. I shop at Baby City. So so now we're advocates for teen pregnancy.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow.
One thing after the other, man. It never ended. It just got worse and worse.
It just sounds like universe was trying to tell you, pack this business up.
That's one failure. Yeah, there was other ones, man. But you learn from all of them,
Oh yeah. It's amazing. And so I want to know from this point on, obviously right now you're a successful business owner. You've got your great gym. You've got the franchise, and the tribe of people who is behind it and who are advocates for the gym and for the business. 100%. Everybody who I would not be talking to in our gym is like, Fortis is the best. Why are you in Fortis? Someone recommended me, and then I fell in love, or someone was asking for this, and then I came over, and I'm not going back, and multitude of those stories. And so what was your breakthrough? What was your point of deciding or either going into the gym business or after this failure, the big one, what was the point where you started going in the right direction and you knew?
Yeah, let me say first, that's music to my ears, man. Thank you so much. That means the world to us. And it's our members. It's not me. It's just the membership we have. People, make friends at our gym. They get great friends. They do connections for business, everything. Because people are just considerate. It's just a nice group of people. Yeah. It is a community, thank God. And anybody who's not into that and who's like, negative, et cetera, they're probably not going to enjoy the gym, right? Yep. They want to run and do their ego hour of power thing and bother the men or the ladies, right? We're probably not going to work out.
Yep.
So that's how that's worked out. When I came back from the States, I was very lucky. A couple of my friends hired me to run a tech business, and I did that for a few years with some great success. Awesome. It was time to leave after a few years, as it is with most startups. And I thought to myself, I was 41, 42, and I thought to myself, well, I'm pretty much done with trying to be an entrepreneur. It just doesn't work. I tried. I'm not good at it. I spent 40 years losing. And so I took all the things I learned in business school, and I the word that has always bothered me in business school was exploit. It's a terrible word, right? You exploit to make profits, right? You exploit your consumer, your members, or whatever the hell it is, your customer. It's a word that's understood to be okay to use, but it's really not.
It's not. No.
No, it isn't. It never is. And I thought, I'm going to open a gym because I was really in love with this diet thing I had discussed before. It was always something I was doing in the back burner, right? I was since I was 26, I was researching evolutionary science and food, and as I knew my time was coming to an end with the tech company, and I learned a great deal, and I'm very thankful to my friends who gave me that opportunity. I had saved a little bit of money. And I thought, I'm so enamored and interested in strength. This was 2007.
Okay.
Right? I had gone down a few years after that, sometime between 2007 and 2009, to see Louis Simmons at Westside, and I was learning all I could, reading a lot of Mark Ripto and anybody who was out there. Strength was still new as a thing with the public. It was still very much the typical gyms. CrossFit was just starting to gain ground.
Okay.
Right? So there was sort of a zeitgeist thing in the air. People wanted to know what's instead of these fancy gyms, LA Fitness and all this stuff, really CrossFit did get a few things really correct, man, in my mind. The garage gym, right?
Yeah.
Rough and ready, barbells, and Mark Ripto was involved in that early on, and he'd mentioned it. And that was starting to go, the pendulum was starting to swing, right? So my interest is what motivated me. I wanted to power lift. I wanted to get as strong as I possibly could. And I was going to a commercial gym while I worked for this tech company, and I was getting pretty strong because I had met Louis and I had bought his book, and I was trying to figure out West Side and conjugate and understand all these concepts, which were master's or PhD level concepts at the time. Like they still are. Some of them are a little more understood by the public, but it was a really fascinating journey. I was absolutely enthralled with this stuff. So I thought, okay, I'm leaving this tech company. I'm going to do it. I'm going to open a little gym. Right? I'm going to open a little gym, and I'll be really lucky if anybody shows up and I can train them. And I'm going to have racks, and I'm going to have chains and deadlift platforms and chalk, and I'm going to practice a bunch of the stuff that they do at Westside. And I had spoken to Mark Ripto on the phone a few times. God bless him. Yeah. Mark Ripto literally gave me advice on what to get for my gym. I still owe that guy a bottle of scotch. He won't take it. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't like me. But Mark Ripto and Louis Simmons were huge influences, and I opened a very unusual gym in Leslieville. It was about 3,000 square feet. And I thought, win, lose, or draw, man. At least I'm going to try it, but I'm so done with making money, and I'm so unfascinated with rich people. I just couldn't care anymore. And I didn't want to, I just wanted to help people lose fat with what I knew about diet and how to train properly like an athlete would train, right? On the strength and muscle building side. And that's all I cared about. And then I was getting an idea of how to have them exercise, how to move their body. I had a whole thing on that too. Philosophy or idea, which was backed up by good science, great science actually. And so I opened the gym, and we made it 24/7 because I didn't want to, have to be there all the time, and I didn't want to, have the burden of the staff, etc. So we had a couple of staff members, and Nanette was the first one actually, she was wonderful, and a few people trickled in, and it was so much fun. When they came in the door, I'm like, how can I help you? What can I do for you? Right? And we very quickly made all the policies what I like to call member-centric. Like, if you want to leave, okay, leave anytime. We'll give you a full refund prorated to the day.
That's right.
If you want your money back and you've just been here a week or two, we'll just give you all your money back. We just don't care. So it's very unusual. Most gyms make a ton of money offering personal training. We did it for free, right? We're like, no, we'll give you 3 hours for free because this is weird. Most people are like, what are the chains for, right? Why do you have all these platforms and 9 racks? Where's the machines, right? And I'm like, this is new. But we caught the zeitgeist, right? We caught the pendulum early on. This was 2009. So I just didn't care, man. I didn't want, so we was like, we can make more money doing this. Not doing it, right? We can sell this, we can make more money. I don't care. I'm not doing it. I was so angry at all things business that I turned my back on all things business. And the strangest thing happened. More people showed up, and more people showed up, and more people showed up. And they wanted to learn how to squat. And they wanted to know about Mark Ripto. They wanted to know about how do you do a standing press, right? And they wanted to talk about programming. And it just got, the more I tried to deny it, it just got more. So we expanded the gym like 4 or 5 times. And we ended up with a 7,000 square foot gym, 5,500. And in 2013, we had no choice. We had to move. We had to go to the current location we're at, which is now 10,000 square feet.
That's right.
Because it just exploded. So who knew? Doing things that are, right, anathema to good business practice, like not exploiting your customers, helping them out for free, right? I loved that stuff. Like, it was just like, I just don't care anymore. People said, like, why are you doing this? You're not advertising. Yeah, I don't want to advertise. Our advertising is treating people. So the more we took care of the person coming through the door, the more they told 3 people. It was strange. It just got so crazy. And it was an ethos in the gym. And anybody else who started working there were like, let's just be nice to everybody, right? Let's just make sure everybody's comfortable. And that's what we tried to do. And it's shockingly, it turned into a very successful business that I thank God for every day. I'm so lucky. But I did turn my back on a lot of the business ideas that I had learned, right? And look how it worked out. It's crazy, right?
It is amazing to see.
It's the strangest thing. I'm still shocked at how that happened, right? I still had the business experience and all the failures and my years at business school, so I knew what to do, on that end of it. But the more I just tried to take care of whoever walked through the door and get them whatever the hell they wanted in terms of results with the best information on the planet, the better the gym did. Strangest thing. Yeah. And the more, I want to say, sort of vaccinated the gym became against competition. Yeah. It just didn't matter.
That's true.
Right? Like a Planet Fitness would open down the street and it's just there. People were coming to us. Right?
Yep.
Anyways, that's how that worked out. Yeah, so very lucky. I'm glad you asked me because it still to this day is the strangest thing, right? I apply the business ideas, but most of them I don't, right?
It sounds like the business is running itself based on your goodwill and your open heart to other people.
It's definitely not all me. I can't be everywhere. It's when you create an atmosphere in a gym that is authentic. Like, why am I doing this? And my answer is either I don't know, but I'll find out. Like what we should do for you in that instance.
That's right.
It's never going to be something we're doing, and I don't know. If we don't have a reason for a piece of equipment or a method or idea, then I am worthless. So getting these great ideas from the strongest people in the world and the best coaches and Mel Siff and reading all these books and looking for concurrence, you have absolute credibility and confidence that, trust me, this is going to work for you. It works for everybody. If you're human and breathing, this is going to work. And then you have great success with results, and then more people come, right? So that's been a huge, huge part of it.
It is really nice to see the organic way this business is growing. You've got the modest part to yourself when you're gonna say it's the people, it's the community, but at the end of the day you are the person behind it. You are the face of the business.
Oh God! Hopefully not. Make the neck the face of the business.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, not me.
Oh yeah.
Jeez, nobody wants to see my face. But no, it is like I'm talking about authenticity and all this stuff. Man, when more people come up, it's like more people beget more good people. And then when the odd person comes in who's a little nuts and they're just taking all the air out of the room, right? Taking all the gray. They just want attention. They're just doing weird stuff that you'd get away with in a commercial gym. Our job is to just politely say, you can't do that. And if they don't stop, we have to politely have them leave the gym.
Yeah.
And that protects the environment. And so it does beget more good environment and more. True. Right? Does that make sense? So it's not me. It may be me as the impetus at the beginning and what I wanted to do, which I think most people would want to do. Yeah. It has grown into a real community. But it's always going to be about our members, right? We don't have a Fortis powerlifting team. Yeah. If you're a powerlifter and you go to a gym, we're behind you. Does that make sense?
That's right.
We want you to wear one of our hoodies and all that stuff. Yeah. But man, it's about you, not us. And the more you do you, not us, the better us does. True. It's strange, man.
It is amazing. It is amazing. On that note, I want to hear from you, what does success mean to you?
Definitely being happy, man, with what you do. That would be my thing. We all struggle, right, with self-actualization and what you want in a life and everything else. But for me, success is never going to be a lot of things. I have my own little indulgences. I'm no better than anybody else, but I've avoided a lot of the big common ones, and that's been a gift. So I don't like spending a lot of money on stuff for me, which has just been such a blessing, man. Right? Like just less stuff. Whereas when I was younger, I may have coveted things. a little more. That's definitely not part of the equation. But having the business do well and having, monetarily having the business, it gives you power. That's not the bad thing. There's nothing wrong with money. It's what you do with the money, right? True. So I have some plans on that end, but they're just not typical. They're definitely not a big house and a fast car or any of that stuff. That's not success for me. It is for others. And I totally understand that. It's their history, right? I have some friends who love things that I don't. God bless them. I know why. Because they didn't have them when they were young, and they always loved them. And I love to see them get their stuff. But for me, it's not going to be that. I have my own indulgences, right? Like, I have an expensive pipe. Right? I probably had too much money. So that's mine. Somebody can say, hey, look at you, Mr. Minimalist. What about your, that antique pipe you got? And that's true. So I have to make sure I give that pipe to somebody eventually. All right, so I can just pass it on. So it was never really mine, man. I just hold on to it. But the success of the gym, what you do every day is to me the greatest gift I have for making me happy. Yeah, on other fronts, am I really perfectly happy? No, man, I struggle with all kinds of stuff. But that certainly helps, right? I went to school for business. So at the end of my career, if the business part actually did go well, that means so much. It's so important to me. After all the ups and downs and the failures, I go, wow, I actually started a business, which to me is like a piece of art, right? It's less of a business and more art. I'm not a great businessman. I never will be. I just don't care enough. To me, business should be like a piece of art, right?
I feel that's the beauty of this business being so successful and being a piece of art. It is that you don't care about the making money part. It just comes along. Yeah,
you're very passionate about it, and that's another hallmark of people who are much more successful than I'll ever be, right? They're completely passionate about it. Yeah, they found something they love, and they just go at it. They don't care about the money, and the money piles up, and they're like, wow, okay, but they just keep going. That's brilliant, right? That's great. And then it's, of course, what do you do with the power of the money, right? That's really important, and that's up to you.
Oh yeah.
Right? But the success part is such a blessing, man. It's such peace of mind. No, you don't have to, can I afford a can of tuna to eat tonight? Right? Can I afford my rent? I've been there, man. It's tough, right?
Those are tough situations. What I'm hearing is also something that I would assume every business school professor would laugh us out of the room is, I don't think anyone in the business school will tell you to make a business successful. You just need to focus on being happy, as you said. And that's your recipe for success. And it's amazing.
Some would, I think, these days.
Some?
Yeah, I mean, business school's changed a lot since I've been there. Yeah, and I'm planning on some other things. God willing, if I live long enough and I can have the time to get them done, which are just piling on what I've already learned that's worked, right? Which has nothing to do with.
You want to unveil the.
Oh, I don't have enough to tell. Yeah, no, it's just I'm so busy cleaning bathrooms at the damn gym. For real, yeah, I'd have to free up some time, but I would build on what I know, right? Which is just that it's just, man, it's like a great restaurant that you've known, right? Anything, man. Somebody creates a bike, I don't care what it is, and they're really good at bikes. That's all they care about. That's and right. You come in, they're just happy with you. You absolutely loving one of the custom bikes they built. That guy's successful. He's going to be successful.
Yeah.
The biggest bike company in the world, unless they steal his ideas, they can't beat him, right?
That's right.
I did this before, man. I've had this discussion, and I always ask people have argued with me over, what's successful and what wins and different ideas. I've used this analogy. I tell them, what's your favorite hamburger?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they look at me funny. And what are you talking about? Just honestly, where do you get your best favorite hamburger? Not that you make it home, but that you actually go out and buy. It's never McDonald's.
Never.
It's never Burger King. But isn't that strange? Because they sell more hamburgers than anybody.
Yeah.
No, it's a guy down the street who gets grass-fed beef, mixes it with bison, has his grandmother's recipe, grows tomatoes on the freaking roof, all the spices, has organic ketchup, right? Has buns that he makes himself in the back with his girlfriend. He has one place.
Yep.
Right? But he's bulletproof. McDonald's can't touch him. How can that be?
Do you know the place like that?
I know a few. Yeah, man.
I want to know.
There's a few, but that's a chef, right? Who's given his life to his passion. You come in and he's gleeful. People tell him, "My man, that's the best hamburger I've ever had." That's which hamburger? Yeah, but this is the argument about they sell more and they make more money. It goes out the freaking window.
Yeah.
You lose. McDonald's can't touch you, right? If you're that guy, everybody knows an Italian restaurant or a Greek where there's that kind of passion.
Yeah.
The family, right? You come in, they know your kid's name.
Yeah.
They know your birthday. Here's a free bottle of wine. Right? So that's kind of a sneaky way for David to beat Goliath. And that's a huge part of what I would say is success.
Amazing. It's
you probably know the answer to these questions already yourself, right? Usually people, it's just understood. I don't know. I love talking about it though, right?
It's great to hear because everyone has a different perspective on it as well. That's why we are here as well. Like this is one of the things for me as with an entrepreneurial spirit, with having my own businesses before and going at it and running another one, starting another one right now. It is about how people do it and what is their push, what is making them get up in the morning and do stuff in their own way, on their own terms, and just keep on going at it, right?
I can guarantee, I know people have studied this before they were wealthy. They started to get very analytical, like, how am I going to make money? How did other people make money? How did other people make hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And one of my buddies came back, who did end up making hundreds of millions of dollars. He sold his company to a freaking guy. I went to kindergarten with this guy. Him and another buddy of mine. I hate you guys. I'm kidding. I love you. They gave me a job. And he said the number one ingredient, one of the ingredients, common to all of these people, passion.
Yeah.
I remember he did the work for me, and I heard it, right? So if you've got passion for something, man, you will be unstoppable. And then make it a little different. It might not work.
Yeah,
but
of course.
The chances are, right, greater that it will if you have passion. If you don't, you're just another McDonald's. But now maybe McDonald's started with passion. I know it did.
Yeah, true.
Just another multi-million-dollar company is $1 billion.
That's right.
Yeah. But when you're starting out, I think you have to have passion for it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's at the end of the day, even if you will not be successful in the regular terms, it's gonna take you somewhere. Always, you will have like a luggage or baggage of knowledge that you can implement to next venture or next idea, right?
Yeah.
Go forward.
The quicker you fail, the quicker you're going to succeed, man. And the more you fail, the faster you're going to succeed.
That's right. And okay, on that note, Sean, tell me, what do you think, like thinking about your friends or other people just around you, how are you different?
I'm no different. I've just, I've benefited from some wisdom, from the experiences that I've had personally. Everybody has their own journey, right? But I see, especially people who are younger than me, I see the confusion, man. I get a lot of questions from people. On the trading side, man, I've read a lot of books on trading and I've listened to a lot of people. And you forget over the years, over decades, right? The things that are just staples to you, people are not aware of, and how to apply them and the art of applying them. So I remember being confused, and so it's fun when they ask me questions. Man, this is so confusing, and I'm like, you know, it isn't. You'll see, right? It'll be crystal clear. But just hang with it, right? So I see a lot of difference age-wise. Like I'm almost 58. So that experience, man, if we had this experience when we were young, we'd own the world, right?
That's
good
true.
Lord,
That's
incredible. True. But no different, a little bit different in the motivation sometimes. Yeah. And that again depends on your upbringing, etc. I see some people who are never going to probably push as hard, right? They don't have that desperation, but a lot of them don't care about that either, right? They wonder why you do things.
That's right.
Right. And I get to study athletes and crazy outliers, and I get to talk to some of them in person, and it's fascinating, right? What you learn, and again, the concurrence of what they say and what other people say, and how that drive is there, and how to awaken it or not, and so there's everybody's different, man, right? depending on how they were brought up, etc. But I for whatever reason, I got a dose of that. I don't know how or why. And I remember a great quote. Who's the guy who started the UFC?
That's a good question.
What's his name?
What's the quote?
Oh, yeah. God, I just said Joe Rogan clouds my brain.
Oh, yeah.
Or everything. He is not the smartest guy in the world. I'll tell you that, right? And he was a bouncer. A lot of people don't agree. Met a couple of UFC fighters, etc. With the guy's tactics, etc. That's fine. I don't know that. I've never met the guy. He wouldn't know me for Adam. But I remember a great quote, and I understood it. Right? He said when he was starting that, and there was adversaries and other people trying to come up. He'd been a bouncer, right, in Boston, I believe. And he said, "I'm not going to be smarter than you or more educated. You did a great." But he said something fast. He said, "I will fucking outwork you. I will stay up day and night. I don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter. You will be sleeping. You'll be taking care of your kids, going out for dinner with your wife because you have to. I will throw everything. I will outwork you." That's fascinating to me.
That's a work ethic.
Because that is the most important thing.
It is.
Above all else. And the guys I know who have made a ton of money, they'll tell you they're not the smartest guys in the world. I know them, right? They're pretty freaking smart. Probably smarter than me, but I know they're not that smart. They're not smarter than a lot of, and they will tell you, say, I will get up. You can hit me in the head with a 2x4. I will dust off and I will outwork you. And they did, a lot of these guys did. It was a guy I worked for when I was a kid. He was a billionaire. He is now. Probably multiple billions. He was a young guy when he started. Oh my God, he was in construction and he built homes for the aged and stuff. Government was paying it. Anyways, I worked for this guy when I was a kid, and I remember him. We'd get to chat with him, right? He was a scary guy. He was like mobster scary, right? He was like, all right, did you do the right clean? He was like, his name was Herman. I'll just leave it there. and I loved this guy. He was a character. You looked up to him. You're deathly afraid of this guy, for real. It was like, man, there's something scary about that guy. But he used to tell us, me and my partner at the time, we were at 20, right? And I ran a cleaning company. He said, boys, it's 90% hard work and 9% brains and 1% luck. And he said, that's what I used to think. Right? He said, it's all bullshit. It's 99% hard work. Just getting the fuck up. You don't have to be smart. You just will not stop getting up. And you're not that dumb. Like, I just did something really stupid. I'm not going to do that again. Good enough.
Yeah.
Try something new. Right? 99%. And then I think he said 1% brains and luck. I'll never forget that. It was fascinating. And in my old age, I've seen these guys like I never believed would make so much money. But they're ballsy as hell. They just don't care. And when they fail, they get back up. They just keep trying, right? It's crazy. Going. So if you've got brains and you've got that, and you got a bit of luck, man, I don't even think the luck matters. Because the luck is, that's where opportunity meets preparation, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I know the best, from my perspective, I heard the best definition of luck, laboring under correct knowledge.
That's good. Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what it all is, right?
Yeah.
So just doing the things based on...
What is, when I was running my baby stores, losing my shirt, right? Working my ass off and getting poorer by the day. You've heard that old adage, don't quit, right? Of course. But if I had followed that adage, there's a time to quit. And there's a time to get the fuck out. Right?
Yep.
You're selling snow to freaking people in Antarctica. Yep. Try another thing.
Yep.
Right? Give it a shot. Right? Even something as crazy, but then stop, get out. The day I was set free was the day I said, I can't win this. I'm not going to win. I've given it my soul. It's almost killed me, literally. Like I was bankrupt, right? Emotionally, like I was so beat up, right? I just had no confidence left. I was working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, just on automatic, and I was just kept losing and losing and losing. So there's a time when you have to say, and my friends, right, said, a couple of really good friends said, enough, get out. enough, stop. And the day I accepted that.
That was your breaking point?
Yeah, and I swivered. Yeah, the friends saying like, dude, it's time. So you got to be very careful, right, of getting emotionally linked to your own idea as well.
Oh, yes,
right?
for sure.
The devil's a fucker, man, right? To trick you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a time to cut the chain, let the ship sink. Don't go down with it. And I know people who have. They will not stop. They will not, even when people say, dude, it's time to stop. Come over here, there's an opportunity. All right, take that magnificent effort and all that experience and the brains you have and hard work ethic and pivot it over here. Right? And when you do, you're going to hit it.
Yep.
Right?
That's right.
So that to me is luck. That is luck. Like, lucky enough to have some people say, stop, enough. Right? Like, this is not going to kill you. Like, don't let it. Because that can happen easily, man. I know a bunch of people that's happened to.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's like having that other part which I want to ask you about, which is having your own tribe. That's what you basically got, having those people, these guys who told you, man, it's time. People who you can rely on their
good
advice.
Friends,
good friends, right?
And they grow. I call it, my personal advisory board for everything, whether it's construction. I mean, real, nuts and bolts knowledge on an industry or on something. I can call them, hey, man, what do you know about the cement business? What do you know about this? What do you know about that? Great advisors, right? And I'm there for them. And the advisory board grows. And the tribe, dude, the tribe is anybody. Anybody's welcome. I don't give, man, I've had people in my tribe who are on the street, right?
That's
like
right.
I see on the daily basis or every now and then, man, right? Maybe you buy them a coffee or you chat with them. Everybody's welcome, man. A tribe should be, I don't care who you are. You're breathing, you're a friendly, nice person. God bless you. Like, I want to know you. It doesn't mean I'll have time to, right?
Of course.
Or you'll have time to spend all the time of the day with me and vice versa. But I've just found, man, that everybody's included, right? If they want. I don't know. I've learned so much from people. Just sometimes you meet in an elevator, right?
That's true.
It's crazy.
True. The small conversations can lead to big things.
Social communism, man. Underrated. Really.
On the note of the challenges, the growth, the development, where do you want to go from here?
Good question. I want to keep things moving. I'm a little gun shy because not the best manager in the world. I'm okay on my own, but hiring management has been a little difficult since COVID. If I had a big management team, et cetera, we wouldn't have survived, right?
Yeah.
So I have to detach myself from the business a little bit. Franchising is the best way I can take it. So I'd love to get some more franchises open. It's been a very successful first franchise. Thank God for that. And now there's no reason not to open some more. I'd love the thing to grow and expand. Yeah, it would be in terms of my gym. I'm have some other stuff, pokers in the fire, if you will, and I'm having some fun with them and seeing if they can do anything. Right?
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's look, you make all the money in the world, but especially if you make it, we try in our business. I'm not saying we're good at it or we're great at it, but we try. Every time we're doing well, which is lately, again, we got through COVID, there's a little extra money, right? We always want to run over to the Humane Society or Daily Bread Food Bank or something. That's so important.
It is.
We drive back and we're like, that's really the reason we're in business. Like, we just feel so good doing that, right? It's like, that was because of our members. The people who show up like you and give us membership fees, we have the power now. We've got a little bit of extra dough. We can walk over there and write a check for a few grand or give some donations. That is magic, man. That is so important.
This is for
the more of that we can do, the better.
Oh yeah, for the people who are listening, it's gonna, besides the wonderful business that Fortis is, besides the community, besides people getting better at the best shape of their life through the whole process, that's what a big part of it is giving back to the community, which I'm under big. I was surprised at first to see it because it's unusual sight, and this is a big part of the gym and how you go about it.
That's so all credit to that goes to our members. Honestly, we can't do that without a great community of members who support us, and I think it's our duty, right? We have to.
Yeah.
So yeah, we love doing that stuff. Our favorites right now are Good Shepherd and Daily Bread. That is the icing on the cake, man. Honestly, if we can grow the damn business and do more of that stuff and make that part of our corporate identity, then that'll make me happier than I could ever be. Yeah, that's really, really important stuff. Yeah, that's courtesy of God, nothing else.
That is amazing. On the note of going through life with all the businesses, or even like right now at the stage where you are with your business right now, do you have a certain way that you go about setting yourself up for success, meaning setting goals in a certain way? Do you go about setting yourself or business a goal that you go about executing?
Not right now. On some of the ventures that we're currently undertaking, yes. Most of them are temporal. A little gun shy on the gym side, just to be specific, because we've now come out of COVID. It's almost been a full year. So that's a very good point. You do need goals, and I have to write some goals down and get them down, like opening another franchise or two within a year, right? Maybe within the next 12 months, even though we're in March, not the calendar year, something like that. But I've been a little gun shy, a little tepid on the goal side. And we've been resting on our laurels a little, saying, exhaling, say, okay, we survived COVID. This is great. Business is doing really well. And I'm putting a little bit of effort into some of the other projects right now.
Who's your ideal client?
My ideal client. You want a caricature, sort of like my ideal client, it doesn't matter the age, just somebody who's thoughtful and considerate, open-minded to methods, right, that they're not aware of that are going to help them. Okay, awesome. Yeah, and somebody who's just, again, a conscientious, considerate human. Does that make, and we have a ton of them. It does make sense. Yeah, we have a ton of them. So happy. Every time I see my great, like yourself, right, your lovely wife, every time I see clients like that, I'm just like, oh my God, I love this place, right? To a few others, not as much. We try and bring them around. Hopefully that could happen. Leave a mess or leave crap all over the damn gym or piss all the other members off. Yeah. Nobody's perfect, man. But that would be just a considerate, nice person. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. What do you do for fun, Sean?
I'm so involved with the business right now. Not a lot. Jiu-jitsu, unfortunately, eats up all my spare time. It really, even my reading has gone down because, any time I have is to try and get better at jiu-jitsu. And the more you know, the less you know is the term with this sport. So that's what I say I would do. That is my exercise. And it is, a hobby or the sport I have chosen. And it's eating up a lot of my life right now. So other than that, not a lot, man. Just a little bit of reading if I can squeeze it in. Yeah. Unfortunately. But I have to change that. I have to open that up a bit.
Awesome. And what's your biggest problem?
My biggest problem right now is not enough time. Yeah. Which means I have to start delegating. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I know this is true and I know how to do it. It's just executing now.
So it seems like that might be another point on your new goal list.
It definitely is. Yeah, this I know. So that I would say is a goal. I just didn't mention it. Delegating some of this stuff out, I have to do. Yeah, you're going to find, if you haven't already, and I know you probably have, that when you talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, remember the quote, right? I will outwork you. That whole mindset. That crazy, that's a crazy entrepreneur. That's somebody who's nuts. Yeah. Be very scared of that person as a competitor. Because they are crazy. They will do ungodly, crazy things. Right? And there's huge examples of that in the business world. I don't care if you're talking about Dr. Dre, Colonel Sanders, whoever the hell, right? Good, bad, or otherwise, people who have made huge successes, they will do crazy, sleep in their damn car. Not even care, right? Starve themselves, whatever. So you're going to get a lot of entrepreneurs who are completely involved in their business and they don't have any hobbies at that time. Oh, yeah. Doesn't mean they won't or they haven't in the past. But that's right. Yeah, that's almost a good thing. It's kind of a hallmark of somebody who's probably going to do something.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah. A lot of people have that in common for sure. Yeah.
They'll live in a shoebox. They will eat tuna.
Yeah.
They don't care. They're nuts. Be afraid of that person as a competitor.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
Yeah.
What are the financial lessons or tricks or like tax strategies, I don't know, creative financing, whatever it might be, that you wished you learned earlier in life?
Sometimes the best thing to do is nothing. Just when you're confused, when you're like thinking of making a play, just if there's any reluctance, if your gut tells you, or if more importantly, rationality, logic, the facts say this is probably not the best, don't do it. Just don't do anything. All right?
Yeah.
I was given some stock tips, right? So I invested in one. A guy I trust, a guy I know, I love him to death. I still love him. Okay? So I invested a little money, doubled my money.
Yep.
Right? But the thing went up 5-6 times.
That's right.
So he calls me again a few years later with another stock tip. So I invested more money, right? And it's gone down by a factor of 10. So, like a bunch of money that I could have given to charity or done something with or invested in something, right?
For sure.
Has disappeared. So if I had just, you know, and I was a little, I don't know if I should do this, just, that would have been a great, I sold the property in 2020 because it just, man, I really wanted to get rid of it. It was frustrating me, but the market was down. And couldn't find a renter. Right? At the time, there was renters, but I was having a tough month finding it. So I made it an emotional decision. I'm just I'm getting rid of this thing. I've had enough. It's driving me crazy. Right? So they put it on the market. No buyers. So I have to drop the price. No buyers. Did I have to sell it? Was I in desperation? No. Could have kept it. Right? I could have done nothing. Just calm down. In inertia. Don't do a thing. Let things move forward. What happens? I sell it for a low price. Right? I get beaten down on the price. And I'm so intent on selling the property for those emotional reasons. Yeah. I didn't think, wait a minute, right? So what happens was in Florida, right? So what happens? The freaking price triples within 2 years for the most bizarre reasons, right? Yeah, so that would be one of the lessons. Another one, refer out, man. You're a sculptor. Sculpt, right? That's your passion. Whatever you do, you make hamburgers. Make hamburgers. Don't become a freaking accountant. Don't spend the time, get your advisory board together, make phone calls. I don't care if it takes a day. Find a great, right, bookkeeper. That's right. Find a great online marketer. Don't become a social media expert. Find somebody who will help you. That's right. If the price is too high, keep going until you find somebody who's wonderful, who's giving you a decent price. Social media, I've had prices, as high as $3,000. Yeah. And if I jumped, I would be paying $3,000 right now. And it made sense, right? Yeah. But I waited, and you use something like Freelancer or whatever, and you act more rationally, and then I'm getting the same work done. I'm creating the content, whatever it is, right? You figure it out. That's right. I'm not becoming a social media expert, but now I'm getting that done for $300. Yeah. Right? So these are the lessons. Don't be impetuous, right? Outwork your problem. Yeah. Does that make sense? Does a lot. Just do what you're passionate and good at. Refer out. Okay? I've seen this mistake so many times. Somebody's got a cleaning business. They're good at cleaning. So they go out and they clean. They're working their ass off. That's right. And people see them, man, you work hard. And you show up. I'm hiring you. I love your cleaning company. And I like you, right? That's right. And they got a partner. And their partner does what? Bookkeeping. Wait, what? So your 50% partner does bookkeeping and other business services. That's called a parasite. Beware of parasites. So this happens all the time. I'll tell you what, I'll do the business end. I'll do the book. A bookkeeper is $30 a week, right? If you've got a very little bookkeeping. Yeah. Don't learn it yourself. Continue to be a great cleaner. Learn how to clean everything. Learn the latest machines and cleaning chemicals. Find a freaking bookkeeper that you pay that does not own your business. And beware of the parasites who come along and say, oh, I've got a great, because that's all they are. They're getting on that guy. I will outwork you. I will sit in my basement and eat cans of tuna and I'll win. Parasites come and jump on that guy's back. Yeah. Forever. All the time. You have to deflect. They will take the bully pulpit. No, you need me right now. This business is not going to just put a fucking garbage can lid up, run the other way, or beat them to death. Right? Because that thing, that passion you have, right? And that ability to just say, I will nothing's going to stop me, because I will do things you will never, ever do. As soon as you demonstrably live that, people will, and you get any modicum of success, people will come out of the woodwork and attach themselves to you.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Take a freaking paint scraper and peel them off. Hire your bookkeeper, hire your marketing guy as a separate company. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, that would be one of the greatest pieces of advice I could possibly give you. And then, outwork your problems rationally. Talk to your advisory board, right? Don't make impetuous decisions. And when in doubt, just don't do anything, especially on big decisions. Just let it coast, right? Mm-hmm. Some of the worst or the best business decisions ever are those not made, right? I didn't do anything. My money's still there, right? I'm good. Now I can make a really wise decision. Now I got a real huge opportunity, and I'll bet half my money, right? So don't be dumb like I was. I've made all those mistakes, man.
Yeah, like a wise person or smart person learns on his own mistakes, and a wise person learns on other people's mistakes. Right?
Absolutely. Some of the best advice I've ever been given is from older guys, right, who've been there. They're very successful, but they made crazy mistakes. Yeah. So when people ask me, I'm like, listen, this is what I've learned personally, and this is what an old guy told me 35 years ago. That's right? So take it for what it's worth. It's free, right? Sometimes you follow that advice, man, and you are just golden. Right? Because we don't all have an uncle or whatever guiding us along. I know guys who, my uncle's in the concrete business. He's a multimillionaire. You take him you gotta take him under his wing, and that's his mentor. And a couple of years later, he didn't have to do any of those mistakes. He's like, that's a free ride. That's a different thing than what we're talking. We're talking about hustling it out on your own.
Oh yes,
right, like self-made. That's not self-made. That's really a gift from God.
It is.
So anybody who gets in that situation, I hope you're charitable, because charity has been given to you, right, through faith.
That's right.
My God.
That's right.
Yeah, that happens a lot, man.
You talk a lot about the tribe, the community, the advisory board, the people who you surround yourself with, and you pick up the phone and ask them for advice and grab to it. So, like, what would you do to help other person that is part of that tribe feel that they belong?
Connect them.
Okay.
Yeah, I love doing that. Connections are a huge gift. Man, I've connected people, and then have the best thing you can hear is 2 years later, man, remember you introduced me to Chucky? Holy crap, dude. I followed that guy's advice. He gave me amazing, I got this new building or whatever. Bang, brilliant. You're in more, right? Right, like endeared to both, right? I got a great freaking mason. Guy, I looked for 10 masons, and this guy was recommended by a really good friend of mine. I hired the guy, did the fantastic job for half the price. My buddy calls me, you got a mason? Hey, I got a mason. That's it. That's all it is.
That's right.
Right? So be free with your knowledge. Help people out. Connect people all the time. Ask for nothing. Ask for nothing. Right? This is given to me on a regular basis. Right? You know who's done that to me, for me, more than anybody? Our buddy Mike.
That's right. That's how we met.
I could never buy Mike enough, like, bourbon. Right? Ever. He's just, what a great guy. Yeah. And so if Mike needs something, I try and help Mike out whenever I possibly, because I never repay him, right, for all the advice and the help he's given me. It's incredible. So, man, be fluid with that stuff. And, like, me, if you need something, like, hey, I might not have the guy on my Cartadex, right? But I might know somebody who does. So have a lot of people you can call. Maybe you get a few, oh, man, I don't know anybody, but you're going to get some, I know a guy. Right? I know a good guy. Or maybe I know this guy, but he's not great. I don't know him well enough, but I hear he's great. And you just keep digging.
The best example of that situation or that connection that you made is Chris, who's coming tomorrow on the show. Chris Klatchen, doctor.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Chris is Chris is a prodigy, dude. He's a little old to be a prodigy. Not really. I mean, he works with, like, I don't know how many Olympic teams. He's Canadian, and the U.S. teams have got him. So he flies all over the damn world.
That's true.
Chris is a wonderful guy,
He's a great guy. He's a great guy. Last two closing remarks. What would you like to be asked more often?
I don't really know. I'd have to think about that. I get a lot of questions in the gym on everything, man. Everything from like, when do I increase my repetitions? I did really specific questions on what we do.
But try to be a little bit selfish now. It is about you. What question would you like to be asked more often? You as a person, you, Sean.
Right. I would probably say, I'm going to be detailed because if you ask me off the cuff,
for sure,
I'd have to give that some serious thought to open up the possibilities. But I think I would like to be asked more often by our members, how do I lose body fat?
Okay.
Right? Because that's one of the primary goals of our gym. That's, again, back to the 80-20 thing. Everybody wants to lose fat and look jacked. And not enough people ask us. And I don't think we have all the tools there. The ones who do ask us, right? Like, a guy goes 450 pounds, he comes back, he's 200 pounds.
Yeah.
That makes my day. So when people ask and we're able to say, man, and it's free. I'm going to take care of you. I got you on this. This is what we do. How much do I have to pay? Nothing. Zero, man. That would be off the cuff. It's very specific. Sorry.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not really a philosophical answer. But that I guess, yeah, if I can help people with that, with our main tool, which is the gym and the knowledge we have in the gym and all of our methods and ideas, that would probably be it. Because I think that would help most people. Man, I tell you, I've seen this over and over. You get a beautiful lady come in to the gym. And she says, I'm overweight. And you look at her, and the average person would say, man, yeah, you're such a beautiful girl. You don't, but the health is not really evident. Some people just, right?
Yep.
It's visceral, right? The health, like the vivaciousness. They walk into the room, the energy level goes up. You change their health, and that lady loses 50 pounds, or that guy, right? You just changed their life. You just changed their life completely. If it's 80 or 100, forget about it. Like that's a new person. And if you give them the tools to stay that way and get even sharper and sharper as years go by, even as they get older into the decades into the future, you've changed their life completely. Forget about, right? Like it overlaps on everything. So that would be my thing, I suppose.
And on the closing remark, what have been the greatest day of your life?
The greatest date?
A day.
Day of my life. Oh man, I would say that's a pretty easy one. Winning the Worlds as a blue belt.
Okay.
That would probably be it. Yeah, I trained for 10 months straight, and I had a loss. I fought a guy who was much younger and heavier at a weird tournament, right? Because it was different than the tournament I was in. And I went to the biggest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament in the world in Las Vegas, and I went through the hell that you always do in a fight sport, right?
For sure.
Staring at the ceiling like, oh, am I even going to make weight? Am I going to embarrass my team? And you just, man, that was probably the greatest thing I can possibly remember, yeah. I mean, it just meant so much, right? All the training and the 7 years of training in Jiu-Jitsu. It doesn't mean I'm great at Jiu-Jitsu, but on that particular day in my weight category at the biggest tournament in the world, stepping onto those mats and just being able to do what I was able to do and win by the grace of God, that was probably, I'd say that's up there, man. That would probably be the greatest day of my life. I haven't had any kids or anything yet, so that would be right. So that would probably be the one, man. I would say, forever grateful for that. Yeah.
This is the best conclusion of you as a person, saying like the modesty that you basically radiate, and you winning the world championship on your levels, and still saying, yeah, it's just a little bit. It was I'm not the best at it. I won a number one, but I'm not the best at it. That kind of, this is a great picture of yourself as a person, and this is what I admire a lot about you.
Oh, that's very kind, man. I mean, look, I went right back to the gym, and you're having your ass handed to you. I'm 57, right? So It's like a 240-year-old, 35-pound, 30-year-old guy. You're having a really tough time. Oh, but I'm the world champion. Not on that particular day with this freaking kid, right?
Yeah.
So it's perpetually humbling. But that was so much work and effort, and I was so tunnel visioned. And that was, again, man, the things are true. You may not win, but nothing's going to happen unless you don't show up.
Yep.
And your chances of winning goes up the harder you train and the more you put yourself out there, right? And that was really hard. The training and the losing and then continuing to get the back up and go to the Worlds. Man, that was just, everything worked out, thank God. But that was probably, that's a pretty easy way to answer off the cuff. That was probably the greatest day I can recollect for now, right? Is for sure. But thank you. That's very kind of you, man.
Amazing. Sean, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. We had the great conversations. I appreciate your knowledge and sharing all your stories and what you went through. I would love to have you back. I would love to talk about some other failure stories that came to fruition as a successful entrepreneur as you are today, and all the ventures that are in front of you.
I got a lot more stories. I could fill up the time, believe me. I am not worthy. It was an honor to be here, and thank you for choosing me. It's very kind of you.
Thank you for being here, Sean. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thanks. And it's a wrap. We dare you. If you are bold enough, hit subscribe, repost the rebellion, and don't miss out on next week's episode. It's going to be bloody brilliant. See you on the next one.